a lovely lady I have recently met. Her name's Tania Tebbit, and she is from Signature Talent. And we're going to be talking a little bit um, about human design, but I'm going to get you, Tania, to explain all this for me so I don't get it wrong. So can you start off by doing a bit of an intro about yourself, where you've been and where you are now?
Yeah, awesome, Ash. Thanks very much for having me on. That's so our worlds have collided of late, haven't they? So,
So,
yeah, I suppose my background, first of all, this is a property management podcast, and I've actually been in the real estate industry. Oh my God, I'm going to show my age since 1997. I actually came through as a sales associate, and then over those years, I actually was one of the first business development managers in Queensland back when they didn't know what to do with them. And I spent many years doing that. And then I was selling real estate software back to offices all over Queensland. So I was in and out of a lot of offices, working with a lot of property management teams and agency owners. So that's my background with real estate. And over the last 7 years, I've been out of real estate, working on my own businesses and learning about human design and doing some consulting in that vein. But I've actually come back in last year. I came back into the world of real estate after saying, and I'm sure many of your listeners will understand this. I'm going, I'm never going back to real estate, you know. But I did come back, and I came through as started recruitment. So I was actually like really enjoying being back in contact with my old contacts, and placing people in agencies where I knew the culture was great or I knew the operating systems were great. And I'm really dedicated to only working with offices where I know the culture's good. And I'm sure you know what I mean, Ash. I've been in and out of many offices when some offices I just wouldn't put someone there, and that's just out of my own ethics. And then I thought, how do I bring my passion of human design and getting people to understand how their energy flows and what's natural for them instead of forcing against the system, and bring that into the real estate world so I could have my passion mixed with my network. And that's how this has all come about. So, human design, the way I look at human design for business, is more about finding out about your team and yourself and how your energy naturally works through you, how you're designed to make decisions better, how you can communicate better, and how you handle pressure. And when you know the individuals in your team a little bit deeper and yourself a little bit deeper, all these like aha moments start coming ahead. And it just makes for, I think it makes for better culture for an office, and for people to understand that even though you might have two or three property managers, say, in an office, and they've got the same job description, none of them will do the job the same. And there's reasons around why someone maybe works faster, why someone's more reflective, why someone works better under pressure, why well someone else might sort of crumble and burn out faster. Does that make sense?
100%. And I remember a time we had a situation where we had a fire in a rental property. And I remember my property manager at the time just dealing with it so incredibly well. And she was just like, wrote the list of the order of how we had to deal with things, ticked it off as we went along, didn't absorb sort of any of that stress, and just treated it like a process. And I remember that incidents because I was thinking to myself, gosh, there are so many other property managers who would have absolutely freaked and completely taken emotionally this situation on board. And I remember trying to work out what was different with this lady, thinking she just, it's not that she wasn't stressed about it, but she just handled it as
She
a
just took
very
it in a
much.
stride. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that was the first time that I probably paid attention to why do some property managers, take it all on emotionally, and why do others not? And it's such an incredible place to sort of start looking at and reflecting on. And what happened after that incident, I had brought in for my PM Club members a coach who actually talked about like triggers that have happened in your life that also can and trauma, and when I say trauma, I'm
Yeah.
talking about light trauma in your childhood that affects the way that you property manage today. And this is what you do with the human design, is another layer of, you know, of this, which
Yeah.
is, it's incredible. I love it.
Yeah, well, it's something to really start looking at with offices and into business. It's probably more popular in the United States at the moment, looking at business structures and all that with human design. Um, it's it's not really, it's not what I would call a personality tool, right? Like we do have tools to look at people's personalities in the corporate world, you know, like your DISC, your Myers-Briggs, your Strength Finder. But human design goes deeper. It's more into, you know, how can you handle pressure and what's natural for you. And I think I just did a reel on this yesterday on one of my other sites, is about, you know, consistency. The modern world and modern employment and the way that, you know, job descriptions and everything's designed is that we're sort of expected to have this neutral energy, like the same energy every day, turn up the same, turn up the same. Where, you know, we are cyclical, especially women, we are cyclical in our energy. And when people and management and leaders start to understand this cyclical cycle, it gives people sort of room to breathe and be more flexible with the way that they turn up. It doesn't mean that you're going to, you know, not work for the day or go home and have a rest. It's understanding these cycles of energy. And when I go into an office, so I am this year, I'm really going into offices personally, mainly in Brisbane and the Gold Coast, and doing like some team building exercises because it's going to be fun. And I'm doing my first one with Corinne at the end of this month at Beenleigh, and they're really excited about it. But when you get to understand the different types, so there's five main types with human design when we're looking at people's overall energy. We've got what we call a manifester, we've got a generator, we've got a manifesting generator, we've got a projector, and we've got a reflector. And the way that those five types and their energy works naturally for them is actually quite different. So say, for example, you've got probably the biggest area of people fall into is this generator or a manifesting generator. They're the two percentage wise on their charts. And a generator is like the workhorse of the office. There's someone that turns up and they just work, work, work. You know, they never stop. And it's in their home life as well, right? They're just that person that's on the go all the time. But for them to be on the go all the time, they actually need to be lit up by the work that they do. So if they're not in the right position or the right, you know, like the right job, as to say, and they're not, it doesn't sort of like, they're not excited about that job, then their battery is drained straight away and they go into this frustration state. So if you've got a generator, if you know what tasks light them up, like they're excited to do that, or that makes them satisfied that they've complete that, they will work, 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 work. You're the one who has to shut them out of the door at 5:30. Go home, you know, like, oh no, I just want to get this finished. No, go home. The manifesting generator, I'm a manifesting generator, and we also have a continuous battery of energy all the time if we're doing something we like. Like you can have manifesting generators that feel flat. You can have generators that feel flat and they're not having a great time because they're not doing the work that they want to do, or, you know, but when you give them something that they're excited about, they will go, go, go. But manifesting generators, we are a bit all over the shop. We're a bit like all tabs open all the time type of people, and we jump from one thing to the next, but we need variety in our jobs. If we're just given a generator can do one thing, they can stay in one track and they love it. a manifesting generator, you give me one thing to do, Ash, I'm going to be bored out of my bloody brain by the end of the week, and I'm going to be looking for something else because I need variety. So it's really interesting when you see people in the office and I start explaining what a manifesting generator is like internally, and someone goes, oh my God, that's me. I'm all tabs open, like a bit ADHD brain type of thing. And then you'll have people
Well,
that are,
can we stop on that? Sorry, can we stop on that one for a minute? Don't you reckon that a lot of like, do you think that that personality is something that people get drawn to property management, like, you know what I mean? And they love the property management career and keep on coming back to it because there is always like, it is a bit of a multitasking role. Like,
yeah, there's variety.
yeah.
Manifesting generators make great BDMs
Okay.
because there's lots of different things going on all the time, and it's like when I was a BDM, I was very, very good at my job because I wanted the revolving. I wanted new people all the time to talk to. Right? I wanted different situations. I've got new owners here. I've got new houses here, and then I'd put it into the pipeline of the property management. Right? Property management, I always said, was a revolving door. Like you still got the same tenants, well, not say same tenants, but your same houses, you've got the same owners, and a generator is good with that because it's the same sort of lane. A manifesting generator is probably someone who wants a little bit more variety than what's in their portfolio, but doesn't mean that they're not designed for that. It's just that they will want to make sure they're probably not great at task based, if that makes sense. They want to
Yeah.
have end-to-end management because they get the variety of all the different things in there. Then
Oh, and
if
sorry,
you've
and
got,
I've got one more question on that one. Sorry.
sorry, I can talk and talk and talk. Sorry.
No. I just want to stay on that one for a bit more. Can you tell me what your opinion is on how do I word this respectfully? Um, how do we, I want to bring in ADHD into it
Oh
because
yeah, yeah, yeah,
there, the way that you described that, there are a lot of people that I know that would say, I've got ADHD because I am, jumping from
yeah,
one to the
yeah.
other and da, da. Can you just give your thoughts about the link with that?
Yeah, I think, look, I'm not diagnosed, and I'm sure that it's an easy thing for everyone to talk about because it's that feeling of having multiple things happening at the time. You've got 10,000 projects on the go, but if you only had one, you wouldn't be satisfied. And this is the thing with the manifesting generator. I believe it's easy to say ADHD type all tabs open because society knows what that means, right? But being a
Mm.
manifesting generator, this is actually the core of who you actually are. And when you understand that there's not anything wrong with you, you're not broken, this is the best way that your energy works, is because you are multilinear. You are not someone like a generator who has one career or one hobby and you master that hobby or you master that particular thing in your career. Like, I can't even tell you how many careers I've had or different jobs I've had because I will always follow, and this is something I'll talk about in a second, Ash. I'll follow my gut instinct on whether something is right for me or not. And that comes down to decision making. Okay. And I'll talk about different decision making things. But a manifesting generator, when you start getting your design and understanding, oh, I'm a manifesting generator, I'm allowed to have multiple tabs open. It's actually the best way that I work. And
And
then
this
you're
is how I
like,
thrive.
this is how I
Yeah.
thrive. Exactly.
Yeah.
And when I first found out my human design, like I've been into, look, I'm a feng shui consultant. I've always been into sort of like ancient wisdoms and all that sort of stuff. And I didn't even know that this thing existed until about 4 years ago. And I had a friend who said, oh, have you had your human design done? And I looked at her and I'm like, what are you talking about? And she goes, you don't know about this? And I read mine and I got an in-depth report and I nearly cried because I felt like I'd finally, someone had allowed me to be me. It was like someone had read my diary or read my thoughts, and it was the most in-depth, oh, this is me. I'm allowed to be me. It gave me permission to be myself. And since then, my world, well, my world has expanded so much because I started working from what we call our strategy and authority. For each design has a different strategy and authority. And when I started following that, my whole world changed.
Amazing. Amazing. All right, continue.
Okay. Okay, so we've got 5 designs, 5 types, I should say. Now they're just very overarching. It's nearly like saying, okay, you're a Pisces, you're a Sagittarius, you're a Scorpio, like this very general, but it does get a really good idea to the way that your energy flows through your body. So say, for example, I'll just go quickly over the other ones, because a manifester is someone who comes up with the big ideas, right? A manifester is someone, all of a sudden, it's like this crazy inventor type of person. It might be the person in the office that comes up with the new procedures, the new social media. And it's not like someone's come across and said, hey, can you design this? They're just pulling ideas out of the air. Right. And have to have the ability to have that creative spark without someone squashing it. And they don't ask them to actually complete the task that they've come up with. That's not for them. The generators and the manifesting generators are the workhorses. They're the ones who will figure out this crazy manifestor's idea, right? So manifestors are great for people in the office that are maybe in a leadership role and looking at new ways to expand or new procedures, things like that, but don't expect them to actually build it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They're not the builder, they're the ideas person.
Yeah.
And then you have a projector. A projector is someone who comes with a lot of innate wisdom. They're not there to work. I'm not saying that they don't go to work all day. They're not designed to be like the manifesting generator or the generator, which can like turn up at work and work their little butt off until 5 o'clock. A projector is someone who works in bursts. 3 to 5 hours is their maximum ideal working time, and then they have to go and recoup. But the work that you get out of them in that 3 to 5 hours is insane, right? So because they're efficient, they're systems orientated, they're the people that can make efficiencies. They look after the crazy manifestor generators and the generators and go, you guys are all over the place. I've got a better system than this, and I'm going to, cut your efficiency down. So projectors also are people that they need to be recognized. They need to be that people need to come to them and go, hey, Ash, can you tell me about this? And the minute you ask them, the wealth of information will come out. Now, if you're a projector and you're trying to embody that wisdom on everyone else, but they haven't asked, it falls on deaf ears. It's like you're like, no one's listening to me, and you get bitter and twisted because you've got all this information to share, but no one wants to hear it. It's falling on deaf ears. But when you allow and wait for people to come to you as a projector, like the invitation of the information, then people will basically sit down and look at you like you're like the got all the knowledge, right? And then you feel this success, you feel recognized, and that's really important to a projector, to feel that recognition, but have people come to them and ask the wisdom. I've had people change their whole careers that are projectors that were kept forcing their information on people, and people wouldn't listen. The minute they stood back and waited, which was really, really hard for them, but they sat back in the back until someone came up to them and said, hey, Jackie, can you talk about this? And then Jackie went on, and then she won some Telstra award just over the fact that she changed the way that she was delivering her information. So
So the position that I'm just trying to think of what a position in real estate would look like with that design. And the only one that's coming to mind is someone, and I may be completely wrong, and if I am, tell me, is like a CFO, be like a chief financial officer, someone who has like a lot of information, but no one cares about it. But sometimes I want to ask about it and I need you to know and give me the information then. But if you're a CFO and you come to me and give me all this data and stats and stuff, I don't really care. That's the only position I can think of that would match that. Is there any others? Or have I got that wrong?
No, you're right. Leadership roles, okay, because you don't want to go and preach to your team, right?
Yeah.
You've got all this wisdom, you've got all the knowledge, how things can be better, how it can be efficient, all that sort of stuff. But no one wants a team leader that's constantly barking orders or say, you've got to do it this way, right? But when your team trust you and come to you, then they will listen to you, right? You're imparting the wisdom on because they're asking. Team trainers, like, training. So someone to say, I was a projector. A lot of human design coaches are projectors, and they wait for their clients to ask for the information. And then they're like, okay, come in and talk to us about this information. People that work with systems as well, like anyone that's developing systems in that type of role. But if in a smaller type of office, a projector would be a great, say, team leader or advisor within the office.
That makes complete sense, because we have a fabulous operations manager in our team, and she, when people come to her, she'll absolutely know everything and love that. But sometimes if she goes to try and sit with the team to go through stuff, they're not really in the mindset that they want to
Yeah, and
deal
it'd
with
be
whatever she wants to
interesting
teach
to
them.
see what she is.
Yeah,
Projectors are the fastest to burn out on a portfolio
yeah,
because their energy is just not designed for portfolio.
yeah.
Because it is more that they have this wisdom there, and once they start talking and they've been recognized, it's a whole nother level of them comes to light. Now reflectors are very, very rare for you to have a reflector in the office. They're like 1% of the population. So I've only even done charts for a few reflectors, and when I meet them, it's not, you might think that they're off with the fairies, right? But they're not. They're constantly reflecting back the culture of the office. Okay, so there's someone who can't, and I'll get onto decision making in a minute, but there's someone who can't make a decision like that. So you might look at a reflector and go, oh, like you're really wishy-washy and I can't get anything out of you. No, it's the way they're designed to actually take probably a month to really feel into situations. They're very rare. They've got, when we talk about human design, they've got all centers open, which means they are taking in constant information from everyone around them or is around them all the time. And they've got to try and work out what their feelings and what their thoughts are compared to what are they taking out on from the people around them, the energies around them. So if we've got a reflector in property management, I'd love to meet them and just get, have a chat with them about what life's like.
I reckon I've got one, and I should put you in touch with them and see.
Yeah. Okay, so the other big thing with human design, like there is a lot of information once you go into a chart, but really all I want to concentrate on is the three main things. One is your type. Okay, so we've basically talked about the type. The next one is your strategy. How do you move through the world, right? Strategy is basically, okay, well, how are you supposed to deal with life? So with strategy, a lot of people are what we call there to respond. Okay, now a manifesting generator and a generator needs to respond to a stimulus that comes across to them. So what I mean by that is you might see an ad and you respond to that. Oh, I'm interested in that ad, or I'm interested in that product, or an email comes in. I'm responding to that email. You're responding constantly to things that are coming across. Like you see something, you read something, you hear something, you're responding. Whereas a manifester is there to inform and initiate, which means they're not waiting for external stimuli to come into their world to make up this idea. They're actually pulling it out of nowhere, because a manifester, you're like, where did you get that idea from? I've never seen anything like it, or I've never seen a system like that. Because they're not sort of taking in what they see out there in the world. They're actually, their ideas are coming from another place, right? So it's just a creative energy that's inside of them that comes out. But what's really important for a true manifester is to inform everyone around them of what they're doing. Okay, if they don't inform the people around them of what's going on or what they're doing or where their energy is going, it causes a little upset with people, like disruption, because this person's going off and doing all these things but not told anyone else, and everyone's sort of like on edge of what this person's doing. So a manifesting generator has both things. We've got to respond, but we've also got to inform. Now, I'll give you some funny things about this, because you might, manifesting generators, if they're listening to this, they might go, oh my God, that's me. And I'll talk about this just in home life, right? Is like a manifesting generator, me in particular, I'll always be like to my partner or whatever going, oh, I'm just going to the toilet. Oh, I'm just going to hang the washing out. Oh, I'm just doing this. I'm just doing that. I'm not asking for permission, right? They go, why are you telling me this? Like, why are you telling me you're like, even in the office, oh, I'm just going out to get a drink, or I'm getting up and I'm doing this, right? You're telling everyone around you, and they're going, I don't know why she keeps telling us all this stuff. It's because this need to inform people where our energy is going. This is what I'm concentrating on now. This is what I'm about to do now. Don't come and disturb me. Because when manifesting generators and manifestors get disturbed on where their energy is about to go, they get really pissed off.
Yeah.
It's like, don't interrupt me. Like, I told you I was doing this, don't interrupt me. So manifestors and manifesting generators are to inform the people around them of what they're up to, because what it does, it causes less tension and less angst, right? Because people know, oh yeah, that's where she is. You're not wondering where she is, right? A generator is to respond. A projector is to wait for the invitation to then impart their knowledge. Okay, so as I said before, they've got to sit back, which it's not wait for the invitation to go for dinner, or it's the big things. Like, don't go and push your information on, I want to change the culture of this office, or I want to bring in a new system. Don't go and do that until someone has asked you as a projector, and then they will actually sit and listen. A reflector, minimal of you, they've got to actually wait a whole month to go through the cycles of everything, all the energy going on, to actually make a decision. So don't expect them to do anything too fast.
Yeah.
So that's strategy. Um, and the last one is your decision making. How do you make a decision? And this is probably the biggest thing, because people go, I don't know if I'm making the right decisions. Am I making the right choices? What's going on? Now, it all comes from different areas. 50% of the I'll go through the two main ones, Ash. 50% of the population are emotional. 50%, well, there's a few others in there, but over 50% are emotional, and the majority, or also the other majority, are also what we call non-emotional or sacral beings. Okay, so 50% of the population need to wait to make a decision while their energy is neutral. Don't make a decision when they're in a heightened state, an excited state. Don't make a decision when you're in a depressive or low state. So what you've got to understand as in a property management team, you might ask someone to do something, and you've got two people. And if you're a generator or a manifesting generator who is what we call a sacral, a non-emotional, you can make a decision in a split second. Your gut will tell you in a split second whether that's yes, no. It actually talks to you, and I'll talk about that in a second. A non-emotional still has that gut yes, no, but it gets an override from this emotional state. Okay, so they need to, with their families, with their work colleagues, with anyone, they need to have the permission of having a day to sit on it. Like, hey Ash, that's a really great question. Look, can I get back to you tomorrow with that? And you should be able to say, yeah, that's fine. You have a think about that. Let's chat about it tomorrow. If you expect an immediate decision from someone who's got an emotional authority, you can maybe get the wrong decision. So say, for example, you've got an emotional decision, you get home from work, you're tired, you've had a shitty day at work, and your husband asks you to go out for dinner, or the kids want something. And straight away you're like, no, because you're making the decision from that low state, where it could have been a perfectly good thing. If you were happy, you probably would have said yes. So it's sort of like, if you're going to make big decisions, make sure that you have got the ability to say to the people around you, so look, great question. Look, can I have a think about that and get back to you tomorrow? especially if you know that you're not feeling great or you're overly excited about something. Whereas someone who's non-emotional and they have a sacral center which is defined, which I am, I can make a decision in a split second by listening to my body. You'll even get it. Some of us are even what we call verbal, which means
Yeah.
like even when eating food, when someone's really eating something really yummy, that that's good, like that's their sacral coming up. We also don't need too many decisions. So someone who's got a sacral, non-emotional, just give them two options. If you start giving generators and manifesting generators too many options to pick from, they are overwhelmed, and they don't know what decision to make. So, for example, when you ask your family, "Oh, what do you want for dinner tonight?" and they go, "Food," and you're like, "What the hell do you have?" But if you say to your family, "Hey, do you," and just say you're taking takeout, "Hey, do you want to get a Portos or do you want sushi?" And if you've got a manifesting generator or a generator in your life, you're going to get their little gut sensors will go, "I want sushi," and they'll say sushi, right? But if you give them an open-ended question as a manifesting generator and a generator, they're going to struggle to pull that information in. So it's best to limit them to two options and then go from there,
And
because they can.
that's also relevant, like when dealing with clients, that I always try to encourage people. We still have so many property managers that might say to a landlord, this has happened at the property, what do you want me to do?
Mm,
Instead of going, this has happened at the property, I recommend these two options, which one would you like? It's I mean, we often don't know what our clients human design is, but that's something that I think would be helpful for most clients.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the majority of the population are either generators or manifesting generators, by doing that, you're probably, most of the time, because you're reflectors and your manifestors. Manifestors are only 7% of the population. Um, Reflectors are 1% of the population. So you can basically don't worry about them too much. Sorry if you are one. We
Yeah,
love you.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think if you're saying to people these open-ended questions don't work in property management because we want quick response times. We
Yeah.
want an answer, and it helps our workflow. So just remember, not every just like we are all different, all your owners are different too. But if you take that, that's a great thing to share, Ash, because if we can limit the decisions they've got to make, just like anything, we're going to get a faster response time. We're going to look like we know what we're doing, which we do, but we're going to come across more authoritative to them as well. And we've already half thought of the solution already by only giving them those two options. So yeah, that's great. So yeah, if I went into any more, I would explode everyone's brains, right?
Yeah, you would. Well, let me jump into to ask some questions, because you have given us an incredible amount of information to unpack. And one question that I've got is, if you are someone listening and you are aware that you have got someone in your team that is potentially not the right human design for that position, or maybe someone that you say to yourself, that person would make an incredible operations manager given their human design, what could a business owner or head of department do to encourage that person into the right role for them? What would be your recommendation to the business owner if you saw that there was someone in the wrong seat? What would you suggest they do?
Um, I think everyone's capable of every role, Ash. So we don't sort of get people thinking, well, I'm a projector, so I should be a team leader. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just understanding the energy. But I think if once you get to know people's energy and you look at them from a distance for a while, knowing this information and watch the way that they work, then I would say definitely say, look, hey, can we have a conversation about, I want to know what really lights you up about the work that you're currently doing, and what maybe, like maybe looking at redesigning, what things don't you like? But the thing is, there's got to be no fear of that person giving you the right information, right? So that's where the
Mm-hmm.
biggest fear, I think, is when you sit down with someone in an office. If they don't feel safe and secure within the culture and you are asking them a question like that, there could be that fear of, oh, look, aren't I doing this properly? Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Because the thing that I find, and I've really thought about this over the last week or so, these personality profiles that we have with the DISC and the Myers-Briggs and things like that, they're very productivity orientated with the way that they ask questions. And I believe people don't really know what they are because they're answering the way that they think they should answer, or what should be the answer for the person in that type of role, or the type of role that I think I'm suited to. And I think we really do get a false reading because it doesn't come down to their natural instincts, because a lot of the time they're completing it within a workplace, and oh, what would they want to hear about me if I want a promotion? You know what I mean? So that's where I find when you actually tap into this body, not the mind. So human design is all about tapping into how you feel within your body rather than the societal conditioning and us using our head to override actually how we feel on a daily basis. But yeah, if someone was looking at putting someone into a different role, I think, communication is the key, isn't it? And I
Mm.
think it's just sitting down and having, maybe I could design some different questions that could be asked as I, progress through with these trainings in offices, and see what comes up, and maybe compile a list of questions for each type of what they would
Mm.
respond to. But I think culture, and this is the whole reason I'm doing these sessions, right, and talking about it, because culture's key. Culture's what keeps people in an office, what makes them excited to turn up every day. And when the different personalities in the office, you're going to treat people differently. If I go, oh, Ash is an emotional a decision maker, I'm not going to expect an answer from her today, and I'm going to be okay with that, rather than getting frustrated and thinking, well, if I can make a decision at a split minute, why can't you? And then you have these barriers that start coming up in the offices because, oh, sorry, honey, she's not like you, and give everyone a little bit of space to be themselves. And that way they're going to be happier when they turn up to work the next day.
Oh, that's so important. And I mean, I speak on behalf of everyone that does the teams. Like, you need to know your team so well, because for me, all the different personality types in my team, and I'm, it's not just me, I'm pretty confident that my team are also very patient and respectful of different personality types. And what's important to one person is not actually important to the other, but respecting that, respecting that in their role. I feel like that makes a massive, massive difference with culture, and to stop any frustrations in the team. It can be something. Part of me also feels like it's something that, um, like, I feel like it comes natural to me to understand people's, a human design, but it's not something that I think comes naturally to other people. So, what would you sort of suggest if someone is feeling a little bit frustrated with the team? Um, would it be about them looking at the human design of the others, or potentially looking at the human design of themselves as to why they're feeling frustrated?
Yeah, if the feeling of frustration comes up, and the fact that you're using that word, that's a non-alignment word for manifestors and manifesting generators and generators. When they're not aligned and they're not doing the thing that lights them up, the actual signature feeling is frustration, right?
Yeah.
Signature feeling for a manifestor, if they're not aligned, is anger. Like, I don't even know what it's like to feel angry, but I know what it's like to feel frustrated. And for a
Yeah.
projector, it's bitterness. I don't know what bitterness feels like in my body, but you ask a projector, so do you feel bitter? Oh, yeah, I'm bitter. And I don't even know
Wow.
what bitter, yeah. And for a reflector, theirs is disappointment. Like,
Yeah.
but I know what frustration feels like to the core, right? It's good, and
Yeah.
that's really interesting to know what your signature feeling is. So, just quickly, manifester is they are anger and peace. So, peace is their signature self. When everything's going right, they feel at peace with everything. When they're not, they're angry. There's anger. For a manifesting generator, you get both the manifestor and you get the generator. So, the generators is satisfaction and frustration. So you're satisfied with the job done. You know, it's not like you're like, woohoo, let's go celebrate. You know, like we usually are the type of people that we do something and then we're on to the next task. We don't even go and celebrate that success. It's just like, oh, yeah, I'm satisfied that I did that. And then
Yeah.
frustration. With a projector, it's success and bitterness. I don't know what it's like to feel success in my body, right? But
Yeah.
you ask a projector, they'll know, oh, yeah, I feel like I was a success at that. And then they're bitter and twisted when people don't recognize them.
Yeah.
and
See,
and then a reflector is surprise and disappointment. They are surprised by people's talents, and they're very disappointed when someone doesn't use their talents in the world properly. Now I've forgotten what you were going to say to me. Um,
I was just going to say that I don't actually know what anger feels like, and it's funny because sometimes I'm in a situation and I say to myself, if this is actually what goes in my brain. I always think, if I was a normal person, I'm pretty sure I'm meant to feel anger at this, so maybe I should try and be angry, but I
No,
just don't know how to be
it's
angry.
not. I mean, there's things we're going to be angry at, but it's not your signature feeling, right?
No.
What was the question you asked me before that? Because I went off on a tangent.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, my question was more that, like, if we found ourselves frustrated in
Oh,
a
team.
workplace, yeah,
Yeah.
would be more, should we be reflecting on ourselves or seeking to understand other people or seeking to understand ourselves?
Okay. First of all, yourself, right? I
Yeah.
think we need the awareness of how our own body works, and first, then go and do what I'm doing with these team sessions, right? Corinne is going to get me everyone's information so I can chart them, right? So then we're going to go into the office. And I think knowing everyone's design, even if it's as much as knowing they're a manifesting generator, you know, like what's their work energy like. From that, you'll understand also their decision making. So I think knowing what your team is, not to go and put them in different boxes. Okay, this is about recognizing patterns with that person, and more importantly, understanding their decision making process and how they handle pressure, right?
Mhm.
Because property management is always going to be reactive, right? How do we deal with someone maybe not reacting in the right way in property management and not being able to handle the stress, just like the other person, as you said at the beginning. One person can just like, oh my God, that's so easy, I've got that all sorted. The other person's quite capable, they're very skilled, but they're not handling the situation the same, because we're expecting them to work the same where they're not. So I think as a team leader or an office, or even just if you haven't even got a team leader, just as an office, do the exercise and find out what everyone's type is. I do have a free report that people can get. I'll just make sure it's up to date. But there's a free download that they can get off my website where they can go and find out what they are. And I do it from a business point of view, like, you know, what their traits would be. And
Yeah,
it's
amazing.
a fun, like, lunchtime conversation, go out, have a wine with the girls or the team and all talk about like, oh, I'm this, oh, we knew you were that, you know, like that's, and then it's like, okay, this awareness of going, oh, Ash, okay, you need a day. I'm going to stop asking you for decisions straight away because you need a day to think about that. And now I'm okay with it and I understand it. And it actually comes part of the culture in the office. Whereas, like, you know, Tanya, oh, I'm going to ask you, you're going to know straight away what this answer is because your gut's going to tell you what's right. Now, the other thing, it might not be what's right for the office, but it's what's right for me. Okay.
Mm.
And it's like, okay, well, how do we work with that to make that right for the office? Is there anything we can tweak or a different way of doing things? So yeah, I think at the end of the day, there's so many different team building things you can do, Ash. But you know, you can go out to mini golf, you can go out and have drinks, you can go out for lunch. But what I find, especially with bigger teams, is you still have these little cliques within the office where you might go and socialize, but the same people talk to the same people all the time, and you're really not, you're not making the team stronger, right? Socially, yes. But when you have a team building exercise where it's a bit of fun, right? Because you all get to sort of like find out what everyone's really like. But it's that understanding and that awareness that you walk away with to go, oh, now I get why she does it that way, or I get why he does it that way.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, I just think it's a nice thing to know.
But it's also not just about the workplace, it's about your personal life and your personal relationships. And like I'm a big believer that you have a happy personal life and you're going to perform better at work and for your clients and your team. So it will be beneficial for your whole life, not just your workplace.
100%. I could talk for hours about your personal life with human design,
Yeah.
especially with understanding your partner and your kids.
Yeah.
That's a really big one. Like I said, my partner's a manifesting generator. My daughter's a manifesting generator. So I've learnt to that question we said before, what do you want to eat? Like I don't ask that anymore because I know what they were just living food. And I went, but if I give them like two options and go, hey, I'm either going to make, dumplings or with spaghetti. Oh, we want dumplings. Okay, no worries. Right. They'll tell me straight away. But I also know when my partner says to me, and he does it, didn't realize until I explained to him, he's an emotional decision maker. I'm not. So he went to, this is a classic example, Ash. I know I'm probably talking too long, but this will give you an idea. So he's a mad keen surfer, right? Loves his surfing. We're off in our van. We go up and down the coast. I work from the back of the van half the time, right? Hello, my life. I made that through human design. So we're off. He saw this surfboard that he's like, oh, I really want that. He's got about 10, right? Not like he needs another surfboard, but saw this surfboard at this shop. He had his wallet in his hand and everything, right? And he's like, oh, I want that surfboard. And he went into the shop and there was just like, he goes, I really want it. I really want it. And there was a few things that weren't right with it. It was a secondhand one. And the fins were wrong or something, but he was like, still really wanted this. He was really excited. And something happened and she couldn't give us the answer. It was a trade or something. And he couldn't give the answer. And we were staying in the caravan park across the road. And I said, look, Ben, let's just, let's go have a beer, come back and think about it. Well, in the morning, he goes, I'm so glad I didn't buy that. It wasn't right. I was just overly excited about it. And I said, see, I need to take your wallet away from you and not buy when you're in this excited state, because he would have had buyer's remorse the next morning, because he needed that time to process. Whereas me, I see something I want, I will know instinctually. I can't even say that word. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Instinct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Instinctively, instinctively. Yeah.
I can't even say it. I will know by the way that my body reacts. And this is
Yeah.
the problem. Like people have forgotten to listen to the internal cues with their body because we are so conditioned by society to be thinking with our head. I'll give you a really good one for a personal life to do with a generator or a manifesting generator, because that's the bulk of the population. If you have, if you're sacral, if you're non-emotional, and Ash, you came to me and said, oh, hey, Tanya, I'm moving house this weekend. Can you come and help me? Now, me as your friend, I would go, oh, Ash needs my help. It's the right thing to do. But your body is going, I really don't want to do that. I've got better things. But we override because we people please. And this is the biggest thing too in offices, okay? You're people pleasing, you're doing the things that are right because that's what you're supposed to do, or society tells you to do, or conditioning tells you to do, or I must do that. But you're continually overriding this sacral, which says, no, you've not got energy for that. No, you don't want to do that. You've got other things you want to do for yourself, but you say yes. So what you find you do, and this is what I used to think, oh my God, I'm doing that. You know, when you say yes, but you roll your eyes at the same time? Okay, that's your head saying yes and your gut saying no. It's like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, yes, that sigh and the okay. That means that's a no. And if it's a maybe, okay, if you're getting this, oh, I just don't know, it's between a yes and a no, it's called a maybe, and that's a no for now. Okay. It's not a yes. A maybe is a no for now. Come back to it tomorrow and see if it's a no or a yes.
Yeah, yeah. Really funny you say, talk about, the people pleasers, because because as we're talking, I'm like, yep, I know exactly where all my team are. And I've got one who is so incredibly helpful, absolutely a yes person, loves to help people. But I feel like sometimes she shouldn't say yes sometimes, I think she should hold it back. And I had one of my other team members, I had said to me, oh, she said that she would do it if I needed to. And I said, you know what? I don't want her to do it, because I know she said yes, and I know she would absolutely do it, but it's not fair that she does that.
Yep.
And so I don't want you approaching her about it. I want you to get this person to do it. So I try to sometimes protect that if I see someone who is super helpful. And I mean, obviously, I let them. I don't do it all the time. I don't butt in or interfere, but just every now and then, if I feel like, nah, that's not needed, and I'll sort of try and protect that. Not sure if that's the right or the wrong thing to do, but if I do feel it, I sort it out.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, really what human design is about, is, as I said, it's about the awareness of knowing that people are
Mm-hmm.
different, to the pattern recognition to see, okay, well, why is this person maybe continually stressing out about this, or why is this person feeling bitterness because people aren't listening to them, like starting to understand the sort of dynamics that's going on in the office. You know, we're all still there to work hard, right? This is not a oh, I'm a projector or a reflector, so I'm just going to have, like have a little day bed in the kitchen. It's
Yeah,
not about that. It's we're still going to have stress, right?
yeah,
We're still going to have stress. We're still going to work hard, but what you'll find, there'll be less resistance, okay, because you're
yeah.
starting to understand how to manage it a bit better. Your decisions will definitely feel clearer. Even if there's just one thing that people go away from, is knowing where their decision making comes from. You might even have some people in the office, it's less popular, the type, but you might have sounding boards in the office. Now, a sounding board person is someone who actually has to talk things through. So they're talking to themselves, or they need someone to talk to before they can come back. It's like they just have to get it out, right? They have to
Mm-hmm.
say it to understand it in their just to understand the logic of what's going on before they can make a decision. So if you've got someone in the office, I've got a friend who does it. She's always like, oh, but what do you think? She's not actually asking me for the answer. She's just verbalizing what's going on in her head, and that is the way that she makes decisions. And when you understand that, so when I talk to her now on Zoom, like at first I was like, why do you keep asking me this, Nadia? Like, this is annoying me. But now it's not annoying me, because I know that that's how she has to arrive at a decision, is by verbalizing her thoughts. So yeah, decisions become much clearer once you know that. You stop questioning yourself constantly, because I think that's one of the biggest things. Am I doing the right thing? Am I making the right decision? And we're taking up valuable energy and space in our brains when it could be used for something else, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now you've done one of the reports. I've just pulled it out, and I just need to be reminded the information that I gave you for this report was my date of birth, my time of birth,
Yep.
and my
Location.
and location. That's right, isn't it? That's sort of the
Yeah, yeah.
information that you
So
need.
it's based, like, I'm not gonna get, I can get all woohoo on you here, right? And I know that when I'll say this, because I went to one of the coffees and conversations, the last
Yeah.
one on the Gold Coast, right? And Corinne was there. And I was a little bit, when I'm in professional settings, I'm a little bit hesitant, especially when there's principals and things like that there, to start talking about, the human design concept, right? Because I'll go, oh, this is all just nonsense and fluff, right? And I had a few questions, and people ask what you do, and I started talking about, now everyone was just like ears on. Oh my God, this is amazing. Yes, we understand this. And I was like, oh, I'm with my people.
Yeah.
So it is actually, it's ancient wisdom. It all comes through from, yes, when you were born, or your planetary alignments of when you came. It all works on a subconscious level and a conscious level. Okay, so we have this design date of what we are, which is your profile. When you look at your profile, I can't remember what you were, Ash.
Yeah, well, I'm just having a look
Are
now.
you a
So
two?
I'm a generator,
Yep.
and that was my builder energy. And then I had a sacral authority,
Yep. So you are a fast decision maker.
very fast. Yeah.
Yes. And then what is your three? You'll have a two numbers. It'll be It's a profile. It might be on your profile. It's two numbers with a slash between it.
Two numbers with a slash between it. I had well, on the human design chart it had like 6546. Is that the number or?
Okay, so look right at the top two corners. Okay, the
Yep.
top two planetary things you'll have, and there'll be a dot. There'll be a number and then a dot, another number.
Oh, yeah.
It should be on
Oh,
it should be on the
on the
chart. It should be.
on the chart, like at the top one. I'm on the human design, that one.
Yeah, okay. So tell me, is there one where I've got okay, down the bottom there it says your generator, then it says sacral, and then what's at the bottom of that what report I've got? Oh, to respond.
To
Okay.
respond.
Now the top pink and the top blue,
Yeah.
what's the numbers say?
I've got 65 and 46
Yeah, no, in the little box.
on the little
In the
box there.
yep. It's a
Four
point what?
4.1.
Four
4.1.
yeah, so one, yeah, and then what's
Yeah.
on the other side?
1.5.
1.5.
Yeah.
Okay, so your design, you're what's called a line one design, okay,
Okay.
which means unconsciously you're someone who, you're an investigator. You're someone who wants all the information, all the knowledge before you feel confident in yourself speaking about it to others. You're you're the researcher. Does that make sense to you? Like you're always wanting to research and find out new information. You'll go digging for stuff, right? Like information is really important to you.
Yeah, the word I used for that for me is curious. Like I'm always
Yep.
curious.
Yeah. Yep. So you're someone that needs to be confident in what you're going to be speaking about. You need to do the back research first, right? You're not someone who's just going to go and talk about something off of a whim and think you know about it. You're someone who's like, no, it really makes me feel safe and secure when I've actually done the work around that before I start sharing it. Does that make sense?
I'm going to give you a perfect example. So I'm getting right into the sustainable homes and sustainable living because I think that that's the next part in property management that we're going to have to start looking into. So I've started doing my own house with that. So I've got myself the solar panels and I've got myself a battery on my house so that I can see the process of how that will work if I was to recommend that to other investors. And then I'm going through, even getting a water filter, and I'm basically creating my personal home as a sustainable home so that I've gone through the process so that then when I recommend that to investors to create a sustainable rental property, I've done it myself and know how to do it and how it's affected me living here. So that's probably an example.
100%. Now, this is your, when I say you're a line one in your design type, that's your unconscious abilities. You're not even aware. It's not like you go, oh, I must go research. It's just innately part of you to go and do this. Now, that's sort of like your inner self. What the world sees, okay, what the world sees from you is a 5 profile. Okay, that's the outward facing profile personality type for you. Now, a 5 is someone who is here to be a change maker. They're also here to be in leadership, and they're also someone who people are drawn to them. You're seen as a problem solver. And in the old language, it's called like you're a heretic or a martyr, right? But that's like that language is not really what we use today. But it's more of you're this problem solver. People come to you because you've lived through the experience, right? They trust you. Now that's your outward facing side, okay? And the 1 is more like it's just naturally what you are. Okay, so your profile is like your costume of how you turn up, and it's really like that's a whole nother level. Like I'm a 3/5, right? And when I first read my human design, as I said to you before, it was such a life-changing thing for me. It gave me permission to actually be myself. I went, oh my God, I'm not crazy, because a 3/5 is someone who, the 3 is the experimenter. It's the messy at life. And that's what people see. My 3 is my outside. I've got a 5 as you, but that's my unconscious side, right? So this is like natural. It's just, I just share, I just problem solve, I just turn up as a leader. It's just part of my DNA. Right.
Mm.
But the messy side is like I've lived through experiences and I come back to teach the tribe the better way to do things. So, yes, my life has been chaotic. I've been married 3 times. I've been through domestic violence. All different sorts of stuff. And I come out of it on top all the time because that's just who I am. I'm a survivor, right? And I come back and share that with lived experience, no judgment or anything, but people are drawn to that because they're going, shit, Tanya, you've been through it all. I said, yeah, I have. Do you want to hear what not to do?
Yeah.
That's pretty much how I live. And when I found that out, when I talk to people about their profiles, they're like, holy hell, like, have you been in my diary? I'm like, no, this is just part of your energetic makeup. And with human design, it is a combination of many things. One, astrology, right? Like, because you've got to give me that birth information. The other thing, it's also linked to the 64 hexagrams in the I Ching, and with science and quantum physics, quantum science, and also the chakra system and the tree of life, which is Kabbalah tree of life. All those modalities are being put together. And the thing is, like, I actually have a science degree, right? I have an environmental science degree. I've got the analytical mind, but I've also got the esoteric wisdom to know that there are things before us that have come that actually make a lot of sense when we break them down in today's world. And science is catching up with esoteric wisdom. Okay, so we've actually got the 64 hexagrams in the I Ching, which make the gates of the human design. Those 65 hexagrams of the I Ching are now being linked to the 64 codons of our DNA. And like thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, the hexagrams came into being, and it all links with amino acids into the DNA, which we've got 64 codons, right? So it's like science is catching up with ancient wisdom and it's starting to be actually verified. So yeah, like I could go down a big rabbit hole.
But the time's up. So
Yeah.
that was so much information. And I'm so grateful for your time this morning because I think there's so many people that are really going to love listening to it and just learning how they can thrive personally and thrive in their career, which is what it's all about. And if people want to reach out, I'm going to get you to send me through the details and the links for your website and how to connect
Yeah.
with you so I can include that on the show notes. And please reach out to Tanya, go to her website and take a look at the human design for yourself personally. But equally, if you're looking for a workshop in your office, this would be a fantastic idea to do with your team as well. So thank you for your time, Tanya. Make sure you send me through your bits and pieces so I can include it in the show notes, and really look forward to seeing some teams get on board and see how it helps them.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks, Ash, for having me on.